Hi, welcome to another video. This is going to be a sort of buddy read vlog, but before I get into that, Encyclopedia of Spirits. Okay, we've got Miach. Oh, it's probably Miach, because it's from Ireland. Classification Tuatha De Danann. Miach is the father of healing herbs and the patron of herbalism. He is the son of Dian Chech. I don't know how to say that. So he's the son of Dian Chech, I'm going to say it like that, and is Eärmid's brother. When Nuada, ruler of the Tuatha De Danann, lost his hand in battle, he also lost his throne. Only someone with no physical imperfections was allowed to rule. Damn, that's fucking rude. Dian Chech. Dian. We're going to call him Dian. Dian, sacred physician, fitted him with a silver prosthetic hand, but the throne was given to Bress, who proved to be an inadequate ruler. Dian's children, Eärmid and Miach, determined to heal Nuada so he could reclaim his throne. They located Nuada's severed hand, buried, removed the silver prosthetic, and placed the original hand on the stump, chanting an incantation, sinew to sinew, nerve to nerve, joint to joint. In 3 times, 3 days and nights, Nuada was good as new and fit to reign again. Dian was unhappy. His children had publicly shown themselves to be greater healers than he. His anger was specifically directed at his son. He challenged him by slicing into Miach's head with a sword and challenging him to heal. Miach did. Dian repeated the action, this time slicing deeper. Again, Miach self-regenerated. 3 times, Dian repeated the action. Each time, Miach was able to heal himself. Finally, Dian cut open his head and removed the brain, and Miach was dead. After he was buried, 365 healing plants sprang from his grave, 1 for each day of the year, 1 for every illness. Damn, that's fucking rough. So this guy was fucking cut 3 different times, like almost dead, and eventually his head got fucking open and his brain got taken out, and over his dead body 365 plants sprang out of the earth, creating 1 for every day and 1 for every illness. Alright, so as I said, this is the beginning of a vlog buddy read for the Poppy War. I'm finally going to be reading this. I'm going to be reading this with Lorena from @LoreBookDreamer on Instagram. We have been doing some pretty good shit together. We've been having a lot of conversations and I love it. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I've heard so many good things about this series. So yeah, that's really it. We'll see how this goes. Hey, it is fucking hot. So I'm gonna do this real quick, but I realized that I nearly forgot to give an update. It's been a few days since I filmed the intro, and I am like 130 something pages in. I think I stopped at chapter 7. So Lorena and I have spoken about a couple things, specifically more along the lines of like, I really wasn't expecting the book to start off so much with like academics. And like, I don't know, I guess it was kind of refreshing to see a fantasy book that has kind of this sort of really intense testing, and we're not entirely sure what it's for at the beginning. But then you kind of learn that like it brings her to an academy that is military. Currently where I'm at, Rin is still at the academy and she's fucking struggling. Like, she has been struggling this whole time. She's working goddamn hard for everything. And I love her. I love how stubborn she is and how determined she is to get the fuck out of her situation and do her best. It is really sad though how she's treated, but then again, kind of saw that coming. You know, she's an orphan who is unloved, and on top of that, she's from, I guess, the southern part of this continent, and they don't like those people. But at the same time, like, she is tough and you don't really feel that bad for her because you're like, she's gonna figure out a way. I like that the world building is happening slowly, but not so slowly that I'm not interested, and everything makes sense. And right now though, like, I'm not really seeing the fantasy aspect. Like, it's mentioning shamans and stuff, but it kind of seems like it's something that doesn't exist. And actually it almost seems like they're proving everything with like reason and science, and I don't know, I guess I'm kind of liking that aspect of it. And I will say, I don't know how to say their names, but he's the lore master, Jiang. I don't know how to say his name. There was like a good, like you get introduced to him at the beginning, like all the masters introduce themselves at the beginning of the academy for all the first years, and you see him and he's kind of like awkward and weird, I guess, but also not soft-spoken and kind of seems like this I don't really give a fuck. And then you see him appear at certain points where he's doing something kind of stupid to piss off the other masters. And I was like, man, I really wonder who this is. And like kept putting little comments in my book where I'm just like, yeah, I bet that this guy would say this or do that or whatever. So there was like a good 2 to 3 chapters where you don't really see him or interact with him, but I knew. I was like, obviously Rin is eventually going to have interactions with this master. And you still don't really know who the fuck he is, like where he's from or what. I don't know. Like, he's really intriguing. I really like him. Also, I was not expecting to hate, I say Najah because I've seen people say it like, I didn't like Najah at the beginning, but I was telling Lorena, I was like, I feel like Najah and Rin are going to like have this rival enemies to lovers type of thing going on. But the more I'm reading, the more I'm just like, I think Najah is just a dick. But she also has her friend Hirai, I think. He's giving off some queer vibes. A little bit. And I don't know if it's just because like he's just kind of smart and not interested in Rin, but I do feel like they're gonna have a really good friendship. I hope it lasts. I don't know. I'm also kind of fearing that anything could happen at this point. So it's actually really hot outside, but the AC is running inside the house, so I'm just going to do an update outside. I am basically halfway through the Poppy War. I'm not really reading it too quickly because Lorena is still getting through The Hunger of the Gods, and I'm so excited. She literally just finished it and we were raving about it. Yeah, I'm just slowly getting through the Poppy War. But anyways, the whole beginning of the book was about Rin, right, at the academy. I was talking about that. And then you hit the halfway point and shit goes down. Like, I was not expecting it for like action to rise that quickly. It was quite surprising and I am all for it. And also, so I talked about the Master Jiang guy, and I was right, he's a total badass, but he also seems like kind of mysterious, like they're almost like I don't know, he's so weird where like, I'm like, does he actually not remember certain things about himself, or is he just saying that he doesn't remember certain things about himself so that, I don't know. He's weird, but I really like him. Don't know what's happened to him now, and I'm a little concerned, and also Rin is in a bit of a pinch, and I think that my prediction about a certain relationship may be correct. Anywho's, the other thing is the magic in this book. So for a long time, like, I didn't quite understand what the magic was, and there was like a whole chapter that went into, honestly, kind of the philosophy of religion, and I thought it was really well done. I highlighted and underlined so much from that chapter. The magic system really is very heavily leaning on like gods, I guess, and how people can access gods, or at least can access a godly power, because in a sense gods are within them. And so far I'm unsure if like you can access a single god's power, or if like you can kind of access all of them. There also seem to be risks involved with it, and I'm not entirely sure what those risks are, although I have a fairly good idea now that I've seen a certain scene that happens in part 2. But yeah. Anyways, there was also another point of view of a special kind of agent, which are called the CK. I don't know, but they work for the Empress, and the Empress is another person where I'm like, at first I was like, she's not really that special. Maybe she's just like a figurehead. And now I'm like, damn, I think she's actually probably pretty dangerous. The point is, this book is really well written, and it is moving slowly, but at the same time, my interest in it is just not wavering, and it's only getting like more and more and more. And I also want to show you the garden. That's also why I'm out here, because there has been some progress. If you didn't see, I did do a vlog about Ryan and I starting our garden, and now I'm going to show you some of the progress that has happened with it. All right, here it is. Here is the garden. I don't know if you remember from last time, but it has grown significantly. Ryan also like weeded in between the rows because it was overgrowing like over there, and we have to deal with that another day. Anyways, the basil is doing fucking great. This tomato plant, holy shit. So we kept plucking out the flowers because we were told that like when it's really small, you actually want to pluck out the flowers so that it doesn't make tomatoes too soon and kind of like stunt the growth. But look at these fucking monsters. And like there are bugs already getting into it, but that just tells me that these are gonna be delicious tomatoes. But I'm also worried. I'm like, this thing is fucking massive. Like, when is it gonna turn red? It's like sort of oranging here, but got this little guy over here, another one over here. This one is the other tomato plant, which this one hasn't given anything yet, but there are some flowers, so it's surely going to give us something soon, hopefully. This guy I had thought had died. I think this is like a mini cucumber plant. You actually have to be careful because this is really prickly. Yep, there they are. They're the little cucumbers. This one is also a cucumber plant, and you can already see. We already ate one of these, or at least I did, and it's freaking delicious. There are so many. So some of them are really small, and we're wondering if maybe we will pluck some early and pickle them, because oh shit, there's our curvy boy. Ryan calls it our Irish cucumber, and Ryan has pulled in, as you can hear. This is our peppers, and they're coming in. Look at that, little baby peppers. Sage plant doing beautiful as always, getting a little eaten by, Ryan's calling them like Japanese beetles or something. This is our cherry tomato plant, which is also giving quite a bit. They're like, it's really compact though. I almost feel like maybe we shouldn't have put this like metal thing around it, but yeah, there are lots, and I can't wait for them to like turn red so I can actually eat them. This one's gonna be hard to freaking pluck, but anyways. And of course our monster. This is our zucchini plant. Zucchini! Oh my gosh, it's freaking huge. It's massive, and it's gonna keep giving us more. But yeah, the plan is for in the future we'll probably do more of the same plants all across the whole garden. Ryan wants to try growing like sweet potatoes and onions and stuff like that. So since those are technically roots, we'll have to, I don't know, figure something out for those. I have no idea how to tell when like potatoes and onions are ripe. But probably a pumpkin too, so we can have our own pumpkins for Halloween and, you know, not have to get them anywhere else. And yeah, I don't know, that's the garden. And we're actually gonna eat one of the zucchinis tonight. They were delicious. Okay, it's been a while since I've updated on the vlog. It is currently Thursday the 21st. I did dye my hair, or rather Ryan helped dye my hair, so now it's back to the like green blueness semi-permanent dye that I use that ended up being a mess. The back of my shirt is still like fucking blue from it. Anyways, I did finish Poppy War, but I finished it yesterday, so I finished it on Wednesday. I have a few things that I want to say. First of all, Lorena has not finished it quite yet. So I haven't really been able to like rant too much about stuff, but as she's getting through, she's telling me where she's at and kind of her opinions on it. So I do want to say the Poppy War. First off, this little blurb, I just read it and it says they trained her for war. She intends to end it. I think that's deceptive. Nowhere in the book did she ever have the intention to end the war. So that's not quite true. But basically, as I said before, the beginning of the book is very much centered around Rin, who wants to pass a test so that she can get into a prestigious academy and she can essentially kind of get herself out of the town that she lives in, which means the only way she can do that is really become a soldier or a general or something, and that academy trains her to do that. What I will say is that I think this book suffered a lot from pacing problems. Basically, the whole beginning, it doesn't build a whole lot on plot, I think. It builds just mostly around Rin going to this academy and learning a little bit about the academy mostly and about the war, but there isn't really a lot of world building either, so you don't really quite understand the entirety of what's going on. Like, you get the gist. So the gist is that this country, Nikan, is at war with the Federation, which I'm going to show you a map because I feel like that helped me a little bit. Here we go. So Nikan is at war with the Federation, okay? And they've had multiple wars. They've had multiple Poppy Wars. Now, like, there's always the looming threat of it, but there hasn't really been an attack, and they're just kind of training for it. And something that comes up, too, is that there were people called the Spearly, and they lived on this little island. And they had, like, a magical ability type of thing where they could tap into the power of a god, the Phoenix god specifically, which is fire. And that population was completely wiped out. Now that's practically the entire context of like world building that you get, and the whole like accessing the magic of the gods is not super well explained. It's very like vague and you don't get a whole lot from it. And even Rin's master later on that she trains under, like, I really liked him at first. He was so wonky. And he reminded me a lot of Jiraiya from Naruto because he's like just kind of creepy and weird and bothering everyone, but also has a lot of knowledge. And yet you don't really get much from him other than that. I was hoping for more. And from Rin, I was also hoping for more from her, but nothing really happens there. And that includes even when there's the shift. So at a certain point, I think it's when you get into part 2 of the book, so it is broken into 3 parts. Yeah. Part 2 gets into kind of a shift in action. So it goes from, I don't think it's super spoily, but basically it goes from the academy setting to now, well, shit, you don't really have time to study in the academy anymore because now the war is actually here. And I thought more would happen there, especially since Rin kind of discovers something about herself. And I was like, oh, we're going to get some more development, some more action, some more growth. No, not really. She kind of just seems to be tagging along and not really having much use. And she kind of almost becomes a secondary character. And then once part 3 hits, it gets gruesome. It gets very gruesome. It gets very, very, very bloody. It's definitely a lot of war crimes going on here. I felt sick to my stomach a couple times. But again, there still isn't really much of a plot other than the fact that there is a war and there's these awful things happening and these characters that are kind of just placed and doing things or discovering things or seeing things. But I don't know. I guess maybe I felt like the pacing was so off for me that I couldn't quite get invested in the other aspects of the story. So yeah, I guess I'm a little disappointed by this one, especially since I saw or heard so many people talk about how great it is and how devastating it is and how amazing. But maybe it's, maybe the first book isn't the best out of the trilogy. I'm thinking that probably the trilogy as a whole is really what blows people out of the water with this one. First book, not super impressed by it. I don't think it's bad though. I will say the writing I think was really good because nonetheless, I wasn't uninterested as I was reading. I still wanted to read. I was still curious. Like, how is Rin gonna get over this? How Does this pertain to that? How does this magic system quite work? Well, what is up with these gods and how, like, you can access them, but apparently you can't, and it's super dangerous, and blah, 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 blah. Like, there were a bunch of things that definitely still interested me. It's just sometimes it felt like you would have an explanation for something, but it was so vague, I barely understood it, and then it didn't even seem to matter after, like, a little while. So yeah, ultimately this one came out as like a 3.75. I really hope that the other books are better. I'm not in a hurry to read the rest of the trilogy, just based on this first book. And I do know that this is R.F. Kuang's debut. Yeah, I think it's also based on some, like, real things, like real history. Probably the gruesome parts, you know? I will say, like, when people say that this shit is grim, they're not lying. I think that the impact of the grimness of this book really hit because of how kind of casual it is for the first fucking, I don't know, first 200, 300 pages. It's kind of like, yeah, a regular fantasy where there's a war and, you know, you have a character who's struggling with some stuff and not being treated the best. But then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, no, this is bad. So I think that maybe that effect of it being kind of, I wouldn't say casual, but I don't know. It hit really hard because all of a sudden at the end you're just like, wow, all right, the stakes are really high. And honestly, I told Lorena, I was like, it's depressing. There's really very little hope by the end of this book. And I told her that, and she's currently like, I'm so scared. This will be a spoiler part. So at the academy, she met this boy called Alton, who is like the last survivor of the Spearly, and he is terrifying, and everyone kind of looks up to him and is like, damn, like that is a hell of a warrior. And later in the book, she meets him again, and he is the commander of the CK, which are the, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this shit right. But they're like a bunch of shamans who they can summon a god, right? And he's their commander because the other one died. He, like, I don't know why, she reveres him so much. She's like, oh my gosh, he's so amazing. And she gets surprised when he's not the nicest person, when he does brutal things, when he's not kind to her, when he, you know, is trying to get her to use her power. And I'm like, how is this surprising you? Like, he is fighting a goddamn war, honey, and you're still living in this little bubble of like, well, maybe this isn't really real, right? I don't know. I kind of got that feeling from her, and it bothered me. And then I guess another spoiler part is the ending too. I don't know. I guess I was kind of disappointed with the fact that, like, she didn't seem to have any interest in figuring out who she really was. And even her being a Spearly, I didn't quite believe it for a while. I was like, no, she's not. Like, where the hell did she come from? How did she survive? Like, I don't know. It felt kind of unbelievable. And then her all of a sudden wanting to, like, avenge him. There were just a lot of things that I was like, this kind of felt pulled out of nowhere. Her destroying half the fucking land, I was like, I get that was supposed to be really epic, but I don't know, I didn't really feel it. The part that I really felt the most was them finding the massacre at the, I forgot what the fuck the place was called. Golan Nis. That part hit me. Woo! Especially the part about the pregnant woman. But yeah, that's it. That's all I'll say. I'll stop there because now I'm rambling and I don't quite have a clear train of thought. Anyways, that is the end of the vlog for this book. Thank you again, Lorena, for buddy reading this with me. I know you're still getting through it, but I do enjoy our buddy reads because they're so, like, casual. We don't have to be reading the same parts at the same time. Just message each other whenever we get through a part, and I love it. I think it's great. I love being able to read with someone. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye.